Okay. So I am recording now, and I have the building level plan in the PDF version on my screen. So I'm gonna see if I could share that out with everybody. Okay, good. That worked. All right. So this is the plan that's posted online, and we're not going to go through every line of it. I'll start with what I think is some important information. And guys, if you could mute now yourselves, because I can't do it when I'm in this view. We'll start with health screenings. This is something that the staff, has been doing all summer long.
Where's your phone? Can you see the box I'm pointing to?
Hold on one second, guys. I'm going to try see if I can.
Yeah, the little one. Yep, you could click the box, but that's going to give you a little too much information. So I clicked on the elementary middle level indicator.
Nope.
I checked these boxes, and if you click on Bill, okay, can you?
All right. I'm not going to share my screen because then I can't mute. I just muted everybody again. And I know that when you hear other people talking, it's hard to focus. So I'll be on the PDF and I'll look at it. If you guys are online and you want to pull it up, it's on the district website. If not, I'll just read through it. So health screenings was something that was important, and it's something that we've been doing as a staff all summer long, those of us that have been in the building. Mr. McDermott sends out an email link with a survey, and it asks us to answer a few questions about, have we had any symptoms? Have we been having a fever? Have we been exposed to anybody that tested positive? You answer no, no, no. You certify that those answers are correct, and you submit it. And we do that every morning when we're in the building. So that's going to continue for staff. The student side of it, we're going to ask parents to do something similar. So I know that the district is looking into an app that can be put on a phone, on an iPhone or a smartphone, where a parent and the student can go through the series of questions on the app every day. And then when the child shows up at school, at the front door, they can hold the phone out and it'll show that they're green and they're cleared to come in the building. We will also have the ability to do some temperature screening at the building level if a parent isn't able to do that. That's going to be tricky, We're going to have entrance through the back of the building like we always do and through the front of the building. And I think one of the reasons why having half of the kids in the building is a good thing is because we can manage it a lot better when it's fewer kids. So, I'm anticipating with half of the kids, and if many parents are able to do this won't become a big problem for us in terms of the screening. But as you know, I mean, the asymptomatic part of this is a real concern. But we'll do our best to screen and make sure that if anybody is exhibiting any symptoms, we'll pick it up right away and we'll be able to isolate a student or a staff member. We have an isolation area. The new conference room in the building is completely separate from every other area in the building. It's in the back toward the band and the chorus room. So the plan is if we needed to isolate for a period of time, either a staff or a student, we have that room. It is not, a room that has the same ventilation as the rest of the building. It is completely separate and isolated, which is nice. So that's what we're going to use at North, and then we'll have a parent come and get the student, and we'll escort the student out of the building safely and move on from there. Our plan talks about the common symptoms and stuff like that, so you can read through that. I'm sure you're all familiar. Some of the questions that I saw from parents had to do with what if, right? What if somebody does test positive? And I think the short answer is anybody, student, staff, that tests positive for COVID while we're back in school, that's going to be referred to the Department of Health, the Nassau County Department of Health. They really are going to handle all decisions related to that, what the school has to do, if we have to close for a period of time, if people have to quarantine, what contact tracing is supposed to be done. All of that is going to be handled with the guidance of the Nassau County Department of Health, of course, in concert with us. And communication is going to be really important. I will communicate as much as I possibly can with all of you about anything like that, and as long as it's not a HIPAA violation. So I will probably have to be a little general in information that I share because I'm not allowed to violate the HIPAA laws. Sorry, I'm muting again. Okay. All right, so that's that part of the plan. Procedures for infected persons, we just kind of talked about that. And the Department of Health is going to help us manage all of that. So I don't want to go through that for too much. Again, same thing with returning. It's going to be all with the Department of Health's guidance. In terms of the social distancing in the building, we're going to be able to distance pretty well at North with the half and half model. We took a look at the rooms, and for the most part, we can really distance well in our classrooms up until about 15, 16 kids. So with half and half, we're really not in a situation where we have more than that in the classroom, which is good. And then beyond that, if you were able to hear that the district conversation last night with the polycarbonate shields, the plastic shields that are going to be put up on the desks, that's just a further barrier, and masks, of course. And students and staff are going to be asked to wear masks at all times. And so even in the classroom, and even when we're able to socially distance, we're going to ask everybody to keep their masks on. We have a new bell schedule that we created that allows for, in between periods, 10 minutes for kids for kids at home who are remote to step away from the screen, which is important, use the bathroom, get a drink, because we're going to be doing this all live streaming. What's happening in the classroom is going to be remotely live streamed. And so it gives the kids at home a chance to get up, walk around, use the bathroom, get a drink. And it also gives us a chance to get up and when the weather permits, for us to take some kids and step outside on the blacktop and space ourselves out and take our masks off and get some fresh air and then put our masks back on. And again, it's just going to be one of those things where we have to live it. We have to see what that feels like. The adults are going to have to help do that. They're going to have to help manage that. And of course, I'll be in the hallway. I'm generally always in the hallway when the bell rings, and Mrs. Healy does the same. She's our teacher in charge, and this year she's going to have a little more time to dedicate to that role, which is going to be a great help for me to have another adult who's sort of free to be out and about in the hallways with me. But it's just going to be a team effort to allow kids to step outside and pull the mask off for a couple of minutes and get some air, and then come back into the building and get ready for learning. So that 10 minutes is a nice chunk of time to do that. They did talk about, in the hallways, we're going to have arrows that are directional so that we're all walking in the same direction wherever in the building we're able to do that and keep separate, right side, left side kind of thing. Which also, I think the lockers, having kids at the lockers sometimes forces kids to the middle of the hallway. So not using the lockers is going to allow us to maximize the distance between each of us. And the arrows are going to help with the flow of that. Lunch was an issue that folks were asking about. Yes, we're still going to provide the lunch. The arrow mark is still going to provide hot and cold lunch options for kids. Well, obviously, we'll have to space out ourselves as we wait online for lunch and then go on through that line. But again, we have half the amount of kids. Those of you that are sixth grade parents know that it's a small class. I think last I looked, it was about 78. So, when we divide that in half, it's a pretty manageable number. And our GP room is big enough for all of us half of us to be in there and socially distanced. When the kids are eating, of course, they can take their masks down and eat and enjoy. And then when they're done eating, they're free to socialize with their masks on. We don't want anybody on top of each other, but we also want kids to feel like they can talk to each other. And I definitely want us to still be able to go outside and run around and get some of our energy out at lunchtime. Phys ed classes, same thing. The plan is to be outside as much as we can possibly be outside. The class sizes are not really large, which is good. There are a couple of periods where they're larger because it's just the nature of when PE happens. It happens against music for the most part, and so there are a couple of sections that are larger, but I wouldn't say they were really large, like in the 20s. And the gym is pretty big, so we can definitely space kids out. And but the plan is to get them outside. Now, if we can't get them outside, and when I say 20s, I mean 20s fully. So when we're half and half, it's less than that. The roster that I look at is as if we're all in school together. So we're actually dividing that roster roughly in half. So it's going to be less than that. But when we're not able to go outside, then we're going to use classroom space, and they'll have to, use a classroom and with the polycarbonate and do some kind of in class learning. It won't be physical exercise. It'll be, whatever they choose to do that day. Probably more health and fitness related, mindfulness, and whatever the teachers decide to do at that time. But hopefully, we're able to get outside a lot, and in smaller classes, we'll be able to use the gym also. So, we have to get back in there. We have to see what it feels like. We have to look at it, and we have to make decisions about what's safe and what's not safe. And I do feel confident that the adults are going to help make the right decisions for our kids, and also provide them with an experience that they can enjoy. That's the scary part of all this. Like, I don't know how the kids are feeling. You're with them, and we're not. And I don't know how they're feeling because we haven't seen them since March. So, I can't wait to get back and actually speak to some kids and see how they're doing and, get their feedback. I'm just looking at some of the chat, too, to see what we have going on here. Oh, yeah, switching classes. Yeah, we're going to be moving from class to class. Sixth grade moves a little less than seventh and eighth because
you don't have camera.
We have the block. I'm sorry, I'm muting everybody again. We don't have the block. We have the block, so that in English, it's a double period English every other day, or, every fourth day now, every odd day. And every even day, it's a double period of math or vice versa. So it'll be at the middle level, it's going to be like a 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. These are the days of the cycle, day 3A, day 3B. So you're going to have 2 days of day 1, 2 days of day 2, 2 days of day 3. So there'll be double, kind of like double in class, double remote English. And then the next day will be, double in class math and double remote math the following day, like that. We have to figure out a way to post that 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B so that everybody's aware of which day it is in the cycle and which side of the alphabet is in school and which side of the alphabet is remote. So we're going to post that probably on Power School every day in the bulletin section of Power School. So you should see that if you have the Power School app. For those of you new to middle school, you'll learn about the Power School app and you'll learn about how to use Power School. We'll definitely make sure that we give you some tutorials for that. So don't stress about that right now. We'll get there when we need to get there. That's the other thing I keep saying in my head, right? I'm back fully at North on the 24th. And so we have a good solid 2 weeks of time in the building with staff. My guidance counselor will be back with me also that week. So we have a good amount of time to smooth out the rough edges and figure out some of the details that maybe haven't been figured out yet and shift some of this planning. But we have a good shell. And I'm going to mute again, and then I'm going to pop back over to the plan here. Oh, one of the things that keeps coming up is supplies. And I've been trying to avoid sending out a supply list because I want it to be really limited to only what you guys need, especially if the kids have to carry their belongings in a backpack all day. I really want it to be just what they need. And so I had sent out an email yesterday to the staff, um, asking if to having them take a look at it again, and then asking if there was anything we could remove from the current version of the supply list, so that it is really just what's necessary. So we're getting to that place, and I'm going to send something out very shortly that has only the bare bones necessary supplies that you guys need to buy, but we're going to buy a lot of the stuff in-house and keep it to a minimum. The tablets are really, the laptops are really what we're using, so there isn't too much beyond that that they're going to need, and I will send that out to you soon. So moving on from that, one of the questions was about cleaning, and wiping things down, and can kids bring in their own hand sanitizer, and can kids bring in their own wipes? And the short answer is yes, they can. And we will have hand sanitizer in every classroom. We do have hand sanitizer in every classroom. We have hand washing sinks that the district purchased that are in the hallways. So in addition to, the bathroom sinks, there are going to be sinks stationed in the hallways where kids can stop and wash their hands, and that's going to happen certainly before lunch and after lunch. And, we'll just kind of see how, again, kind of live with this and see when there are times where it makes sense to wash hands. And I think, encouraging kids to do so. And I think for the most part, kids are going to want to protect themselves too. So they'll have the opportunity to do that when they feel like they need to. Let's see. Yeah, right now, going through the plan, so limiting gatherings, so student assemblies, performances, school-wide parent meetings, those really aren't going to happen right now. Field trips aren't going to happen right now. We're going to limit the visitors to really only necessary visitors. So if we were to have a meeting, we would probably try to have a remote meeting with parents as much as possible, even with other staff members that maybe aren't in our building that might come to a meeting. Maybe they would remote in from their own office also. So we're really going to try to limit that, the to and the from the building. Let's see, we talked about the face coverings. Everybody's going to be wearing them. And then we're going to have extras, as they said last night. We will have extras if a kid comes to school, their mask breaks, or they forget their mask, or they drop their mask in a puddle. We will have extra face masks on hand. One of the questions I saw was education about how to properly wear a mask. And yes, the answer is we are going to educate the kids and the staff about how to do that, and our plan actually does a nice job of explaining it, and explain what proper mask usage looks like. And so we'll run through that with the kids, and we'll run through that with the teachers. So I have a couple of days with the teachers before students come back, and we always have a series of trainings that we do together. And now, some of this is going to be part of that. The COVID protocols and procedures are going to be part of that training when we all get back together again. So back to cleaning. So what's going to happen with cleaning? Every classroom, every surface, the hallways, it's going to be cleaned every night. They have a fogger that they use with a disinfectant that supposedly has a virus kill rate or a period of time of 24 hours on surfaces. So it's been checked out. I from my understanding of it is it's a green safe cleaning product, and Jim Seda, the director of facilities, has that information. If anybody wants specific information about that cleaner, I can certainly have that pushed out to you. But that the fogger is going to be used in the building every night. And then our custodial staff is really good about walking around the building. They before this was happening, and then in the before we closed in March, but even before that, they walk around all the time with wipes, and they wipe down doorknobs, and they clean windows, and they wipe down surfaces. And after every lunch period, they were always disinfecting the lunch tables. That's been a procedure that we've had at North, forever. So they're just going to do that more. There's going to be more of that as much as possible. But a question about, is it feasible to have every single desk and every single polycarbonate shield wiped down after every period? That's not going to be possible. We don't have the manpower to do that, which is why wearing that mask is important when you're in the classroom, and using the hand sanitizer and making sure your hands are clean and not sharing materials and not handing things back and forth up and down the rows. Like, all of that's not going to happen anymore. So we're going to limit the contact, and if we're contacting a surface, hopefully, we're contacting a surface with the sanitized surface and sanitized hands. That's not going to be an issue. But if your child has wipes with them and they want to wipe the surface down when they sit down, they're allowed to do that, definitely. Let's see.
Can we mute our lines? I'm really having trouble hearing.
You're having trouble hearing me?
I'm having trouble hearing because of all the noise, people not muting their lines.
Oh, okay. Let me try and see if I can. Okay, I'm muting all again. Let me see if that helps. Okay. Everybody is... Wait, somebody just unmuted. Okay. I muted all, but I still hear somebody. So somebody's got to mute. All right. I'm doing my best here, folks. I'm sorry. I see one mic that I can't mute, and I don't want to call that person out. It wouldn't be nice. But please check and make sure your mic is muted. Thanks. Back to the plan here. So we're talking a little bit about cleaning. In the plan is the safety drills. We will definitely modify how we do our drills, right? We're not going to have the whole building walking out of the building at the same time like we usually do with fire drills. We're going to modify those so that doesn't happen. If we have to get out of the building because of a real emergency, obviously we will do that. And we'll wear masks and we'll get out quickly. And then once we get outside, we can, socially distance on the backfields without a problem. But in terms of drills, it'll be more probably smaller practice drills with smaller groups of kids, not the whole building at one time, and more probably, conversation about what to do in a drill. So some education about what to do during a drill, or during an emergency rather, as a drill, instead of actually practicing a particular drill all the time like we usually do. And those will count. The education component of a drill is fine, but we also want the kids to know how to get out of the building safely. And so we'll do that. We'll just do it on a smaller scale. And maybe we'll have to do it a few more times, but, we'll do it on a smaller scale. Let's see. Okay, going through the plan a little more here. This is all the facility stuff that I'm looking at. So student desks, the spacing of the desks, they'll all be faced forward. They'll be spaced apart as much as we can. We're going to take out the excess furniture, so we're only going to have the number of desks in a classroom that we need. We're not going to be sharing, stuff back and forth. We're not going to have a class set of calculators that, kids are going to be sharing. It's going to be one calculator. You keep that calculator. That's your calculator. it's your laptop. You keep it. You touch it. Nobody else touches it. That kind of thing. Like I said, we're not going to be passing things up and down. We're going to be doing the one-way directions. Elevator usage is already super limited. Obviously, it will be extremely limited and only for kids that are on crutches or need that elevator usage. And there won't be other people in there, so we'll do our best to keep the kids safe. Bathrooms is something that I know folks are concerned about. We've always been pretty good at North about limiting the number of kids in the bathroom. I'm gonna say to the kids, and to the teachers that we have to limit the number of kids in a bathroom to two or three kids at a time, and then I'm gonna ask the kids, look, if you walk in and you see two or three kids, just wait outside. I'm going to have teachers on duty. We have duty periods throughout the day where teachers have different duties. Lunch duties is one of them, but whole duty is another. And so usually I have a teacher as much as I possibly can in a desk in the hallway upstairs by the boys and girls room. And so they can kind of help manage that and make sure that too many kids aren't going in a bathroom at one time. Um, Downstairs is right outside of the main office, so it's pretty easy for us to manage that between my support staff and myself. To step into the hallway and just kind of watch as the kids are going by and make sure that it isn't getting overcrowded. And it's something that we'll continue to emphasize. That is an area where you are at a greater risk, obviously, of exposure. And so the kids need to know that. That's not an area you want to be in for a long time. And it's if you can avoid being in a public bathroom, you should avoid being in a public bathroom. So that's a good rule of thumb for all of us. So I don't imagine that's going to be a big problem. But that we'll definitely have increased cleaning protocols for those bathrooms because, like I said, my custodial staff is awesome, and that's going to be part of what we do every day is clean. We're going to have to clean those more and more regularly and throughout the school day and wiping things down in there and mopping floors and cleaning the surfaces in there. We have automatic soap dispensers in there and automatic faucets, so they don't have to touch the soap dispensers. They don't have to touch the faucets. We also have the hot hand air dryer, so they don't have to touch anything in order to get a paper towel. Of course, they do have to touch the doorknob, but we'll have those wiped down a lot. And the girls' room on the first floor is a new bathroom also, so that's good. So that has been updated over the summer. The air conditioning, by the way, in the gym was completed, and so that is now working, which I'm happy about. Let's see. I'm running through some more of this plan. Signage talks about signage. There'll be signs all over the place, just kind of letting kids know how to maintain social distance, what the social distance looks like, reminding them about washing hands, how to wash hands, proper hand washing, correct use of masks. So there'll be pictures of that. The arrows on the floors, portable sinks. Like I said, hand sanitizer. Water fountains are not being used, so there's going to be a water bottle filler on some of the water fountains in the building, and so if a kid has their own water bottle, they can fill the water bottle at the water fountain. It'll be filtered water, but the kids will not be able to drink from the water fountain any longer. That spigot will be shut off, and kids won't be able to use that. Let's see. Just running through the plan here. Luckily for us, transportation, most of our kids do not take a bus, and that's a good thing for us. Most of our kids walk or get driven or ride a bike, and that's good. But the procedures for the transportation will be talked about with the kids and the parents of the kids and the parents that are using busing to get to North. Again, it's a small number, but that'll all be reviewed with the kids. Face masks, social distancing on the buses, the sanitation, on the buses. That'll all be done. All be done daily, I'm sure, in the mornings and in the afternoons. And again, it doesn't apply to most of us, so that's a good thing. I'm on the social emotional well-being portion of the plan now, just running through this. So this part talks about the model, right? And hopefully everybody understands the model, but I'll talk it through right now. So for us at the secondary level, at the middle level, it's either an all remote model or it's a hybrid model. Meaning the hybrid model, meaning if you're in the alphabet A through L, you'll attend school on, the days 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A. We're on a six-day cycle. And if you're in the second half, M through Z, you're going to attend school on the 1B, 2B, 3B on the B days. So, and when on the odd days, on the A days, you'll be at home and you'll be in class remotely. Teachers will take attendance every day, and students who are present in school on the day that they're supposed to be present in school will be marked present. And students that are online on the screen, on the teacher's screen at the time when they're supposed to be on in that class, they'll be marked present if they're supposed to be present remotely. If a student is home and should be in school, then the student is going to be marked present, but we are going to call and let you know that your child is not in school and is being marked present but is remote. So what we're asking is basically the same thing we've always asked. If a student is going to stay home because they're not feeling well, that you call us, call the nurse, and let us know that your child is not going to be in school. And if you don't do that, right, if you're unable to make that phone call and your child is present online when they're supposed to be in school, then the nurse will let you know, hey, your child is supposed to be in school and they're not, and you didn't call me to tell me that. They happen to be present online, but I wanted you to know because I don't want, I want you guys to know that could be, that potentially a kid could stay home when you think that they're in school, and we don't want that to happen. But really, if you can continue to communicate with us when a child is staying home, that would be the most helpful thing for us. And then there was some question about, well, what if you choose the hybrid model at the middle level, and then a few weeks in, you decide that you're not comfortable any longer with the hybrid model. You start to hear things in the media or, cases start to tick up and you're worried. Can you go to the remote model? The answer at the meeting last night was no, you can't. And I understood that because at the elementary level, it's a different model than at the secondary level. And so that was a general question. And specifically for us, the answer is different because for us, the remote model is taught by the same teacher. So, if you have Mrs. Healy for the hybrid model, you still have Mrs. Healy for the remote model. It's the same teacher. And so, Mrs. Healy is going to be teaching the remote kids when they're home and the in-class, in school kids when they're in school and when they're home. So for us, it's not an issue to do that. So the answer is for middle school, yes. If you choose the hybrid model and you feel like you're not comfortable with that anymore, you can choose to go to the remote model. But we do ask that you let us know that you're making a change, that you're deciding that you're going to go to the remote model, and then we have that documented that that's what's happening, and it's your wish that that's what's happening, and and then we're fine. Then we move forward. So What about vice versa? Can you come back? Um, can you come from fully remote back into the hybrid? And that one is, I guess, a little trickier to answer because I guess it would depend on the numbers. And, you know, I mean, I think it should be a yes, but again, I can't. This is one I can't answer blanketly because it could be a yes for us at North, but a no in another building, depending on the numbers in another building. So I think I can't really answer that one. I can answer the if you decide to do hybrid and then go to remote, that's okay. The other way around, I can't say that's okay because I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are like in the high school in all of the sections. I don't know what the numbers are like at South Middle School in all of the sections. And so if other people can't do it, unfortunately, this is where, we're all in it together. And if they can't do it, then we can't do it. And so if you have a concern, then I would suggest starting with the hybrid model and don't start with the remote model. If things get better, right, and there are therapeutics that are very effective, and there's a vaccine that has been found effective, and it's been made readily available at some point in the school year, I think the conversation is going to be, hey, let's all get back into school. So, if that's what you're thinking when you ask that question, then I think that that's something that we'll all decide, as a school community, as a Lynbrook school community, that we're safe and we can do that. I see. I'm just looking at some questions that pop up. Oh, so if you're in the hybrid model and you have to quarantine, right? Yes. If you're in the hybrid model and you have to quarantine for a period of time, and then it's safe for you to come back, you come back. Absolutely. I think the issue is when you have to choose remote or you have to choose the hybrid model. The plans that are being made are based on those numbers. So classes are being assigned in other buildings. Literally, rooms are being assigned in other buildings based on the size of the classes, based on those answers to who's remote and who's hybrid. So you have smaller classrooms that can be utilized as long as the numbers of students in those classrooms are small enough that you can utilize those spaces. So that's the issue with choosing remote now or hybrid now and then going from remote to hybrid. That's the problem. Once the classroom space is established, that building is locked into using that classroom space with those number of kids. And changing that could then change the dynamics of the room. So now there are too many people in the space and it's no longer safe, socially distanced. It's no longer safe any longer. So I think that's the bigger issue there. So, I get it. I don't think it's our issue at North, but I definitely think it's an issue in some of the other buildings. Most of our classrooms at North are about the same size. Okay. Let's see, what else do we got? Yeah, so schedules, right. So that was a question too. We're about ready to open up the schedules. I want to make sure that we have all of the rooms cleaned up and all of the room assignments cleaned up so that we don't have any conflict, and that I make sure that the numbers in all of the rooms make sense before I open up the portal. So I plan on finishing that up in the next day or two, and then we'll open up the portal so you can see the schedules. Yes, we will communicate, which days, right? We're going to be starting on a day 1A. So that's the first half of the alphabet. And then day 2 of school will be a day 1B. So that's the second half of the alphabet. So on the first day of school, only the first half of the alphabet will be coming in. And on the second day of school, the second half of the alphabet will be coming into school. I'll communicate the day and the A, the letter A or B, on Power School and on the district website. That should be communicated on the calendar that's on the district website as well. That was something they talked about last night. So before all this, before we actually get going, we'll figure out how to do that. So it should be readily available for you. And again, this is one of those situations where if when we're living and breathing this, if you guys tell me as parents you want it communicated a particular way every day, we can figure that out. During morning announcements, obviously we'll be communicating it. But if there's another mechanism that you guys feel like would be helpful, if Power School isn't helpful, then we can figure that out too. We'll make it work together. But we'll live through that and figure it out. But I think right now Power School and the website is going to be how the day and the letter gets communicated, A or B. Good. I see people are answering questions there about tutorials and stuff, which is great. And yes, and you can always call. Lisa Renz is our guidance secretary, and she can help you guys get Power School, get logged into Power School and get up and running. She's really good at that. And again, there are tutorials out there too. So don't worry, we've got time, and we'll get you set up for that. The learning management system, yeah. We at North are very used to OneNote, and it seems like everything is going to be able to be seamless in terms of how we're using the new Schoology. It sounded like what I heard last night was that the parent company of Power School is the same as Schoology, and so that's a good thing. They're connected nicely, and I think that the Microsoft 365 that we use interfaces nicely with Schoology as well. I haven't played with the learning management system yet. It's not something that I've been a part of through the summer. So I can't speak to the specifics about how it works, but I will get myself up to speed on it. I like to know the tech. I like to become an expert in any of the tech that we're using so that I can help anybody, parents, kids, teachers, if they're having any difficulties. So I will get myself up to speed on that very quickly. And then, then I'll be a resource for everybody also. But my understanding, yes, is that we'll be using Schoology, and that will be a way for teachers to communicate, assignments, homework assignments, due dates, when quizzes might be happening, when tests might be happening, when assignments are due, and what those assignments are. And it sounds to me like that'll be a really organized way. Am I confident in the technology capabilities for live streaming classes to the kids at home? So, to the degree that the internet works for you guys at home, I'm confident. Our internet capabilities in the building are pretty robust. And we at North have a dedicated internet line that was just installed for us. So we're in really good shape at North. We have a server room that is right outside of the office, which you probably don't even know is there. It's where Mrs. Ordan's desk is. There's a closet door there, and there's a server room in there with an air conditioning in it, and all of the the guts of the internet at North is in that room, and there's a new fiber. There's a new cable that delivers 1 gig of speed just for North. So I am confident that our connection to the internet is a strong one, which is good. And the streaming that's going to happen is very similar to what we're doing right now. It's going to be the teacher's device that is streaming what's happening in the classroom. So similar to when I was sharing with you before, the screen, my PDF file, that's what the teacher is going to be doing, but they're going to be doing it, I guess, through the learning management system. They're not going to be using WebEx like we're using now. They're going to be streaming a little bit differently, but it's a very similar technology. So it's not that there's going to be a separate camera that's in the room that's showing the kids' faces and showing hands raised and things like that. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be like this, where you're going to have the teacher sitting in front of the computer, and the kids are going to be sitting at their desks, and what the teacher does on the computer is going to be projected onto the whiteboard or the screen in the front of the classroom, and it's going to be projected onto the screens of the kids at home. So a little bit of a different, that's how the streaming's happening, not like the teacher's up on the chalkboard and writing on the chalkboard, and that's happening. Are microphones going to be given to teachers? So, I think the devices have microphones built in that work fairly well. We haven't had a conversation about separate microphones. I happen to be using a separate microphone. It was something that I purchased on my own because I wanted to be able to be heard well and do the recordings well. So I don't think there's a plan to buy every teacher a new microphone, but if it becomes an issue, and as we're doing this, the streaming isn't working as well as it should be, then yeah, then we have to figure it out, right? Maybe we're going to have headsets with the boom mics on them or something like that. I think we have to see how this all goes, and that's where flexibility comes in. If that's what needs to happen, then I'm sure that that's what we'll do. It was hard to hear the district meeting yesterday. They were not using the technology in the way that we are. The board meeting was streamed using YouTube Live. It wasn't streamed the way that we stream with the kids. It wasn't using a platform like WebEx or Teams, which is what we were using with the kids. A little bit of a different technology, and so I agree with you. They had wireless microphones that were not connected to the internet. They were via a PA, and so if they didn't speak into the microphone correctly, then the PA, the amplifier with the speaker, didn't project them well, and then it wasn't picked up well by their microphone on the computer. So the board meeting was different technology. And I agree with you that it was hard to hear. Back to cleaning procedures. Let's see. So can the kids clean their own desks in between classes? Yes, they can. They can. If they have wipes with them and they want to wipe down the desk, they can do that. Again, we won't have the manpower to do it. We cannot clean every surface after every period. It's not possible for us to do it. And again, right, if we're doing this and we're practicing good hygiene protocols with mask wearing and hand sanitizing, we should be okay, because we shouldn't have anything being contaminated because our hands have been sanitized when we touch a desk. So, hopefully that works. But yeah, kids can definitely wipe things down, and we're okay with that. If you're okay with that, right? Can I push out a reminder every morning the first few weeks of school via text for parents? Let's see. Good morning, North. Today is a 1A. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about using Parent Link to do that. And I could actually schedule it in advance. So I could, maybe on a Sunday night or a Friday before I leave, schedule these to go out the following week and set the time for them to go out the following week. So, the short answer is yes, I could do that. If we all feel like that would be a helpful thing to do, then I'll do that. Some folks don't like the text message. In the past, in years past, I've used the text message with Parent Link. I can certainly do it if people like that, and see how that goes. I don't know if you guys have gotten the app, the Parent Link app, but that's also, if you get the Parent Link app on your phone, then I don't use the app a lot because I don't know how many people have the app. And so I use email and phone call because I know I'm going to get most of you via email, and I'm going to get all of you with the phone call. But I have refrained from using the app because I feel like a lot of people don't know about the app. But you can download the app in the App Store, and I can push to the app, which is just as easy to do as the phone call and the email. Orientation on the 27th is not going to be in person. We're gonna have to do the orientation with the kids in school. That first day of school, because we're orienting to a whole new world. We're orienting to a hybrid world, and our traditional orientation is not orienting to a hybrid world. So we're not going to have an orientation in August. We're just going to come back to school. Kids are going to go. We're not having homerooms any longer. Kids are going to start their day in second period. And I've built in time in the school day, second period, for announcements to happen. So an extra 5 or 7 minutes are tacked on to second period. And we're going to have time there to talk to the kids over the PA and stream our announcements for the kids that are home remotely. And we're the first 2 periods for sixth graders, whether they're in English or math, because that's where they all are. They'll either have a double period of English or a double period of math in sixth grade. That's going to be orientation. We're going to talk to the kids about what these procedures are and how this is all going to go and what it's going to look like. And I would imagine we'll probably bring kids down, and I want to, talk to the kids and let them see me and know me and hear from me, and I want to explain things to them about these procedures and other procedures and what life is like in middle school, and and talk about the world that beyond COVID, and hopefully that happens really soon, and when we can get back to a more normal environment with clubs and activities and sports and all of that stuff. So those are going to happen, I think, really the first couple of days of school with the kids in school, and nothing prior to. The video that I posted of the building is still up on the YouTube. So if kids haven't watched that, that orientation that I posted in August or in June, I guess it was, they can go back onto the YouTube, the Lynbrook North YouTube channel. It gives them a look at the building. I had seen a couple of questions about, can I send some pictures out? Of what the classrooms look like with the polycarbonate and the desks all spaced out, and what the lunchrooms will look like. And I can do that before we get started for sure. Once we get the rooms all set up for the hybrid model, I can definitely do that. Maybe I'll post something in addition on the YouTube channel once that gets all set up. Everybody likes calendar invites, huh? Okay. All right. I'll have to play with that. Because we don't use the Google Calendar. Like when some of you contacted me this morning, I use the Outlook calendar. Some of you contacted me over the last couple of days to say that you didn't get the email with the link to this meeting, and so I sent you Outlook calendar invites. There may be a way, there probably is a way for me to export all of the email addresses and then send out invites, Outlook invites. I probably do like a blind copy to everybody for the days. I'll have to play around and see, how easy that is to do. I think it's manageable. And I see people are talking about the app. The app is called Lynbrook Public Schools by Blackboard. Thank you. If you go to the Lynbrook District homepage, you should see an icon there that allows you to click on that icon and download the app. Sixth graders are going to get their schedules. Everybody, I'm going to open that up. I'm going to open up the schedules for everybody in the next day or two once I get the rooms ironed out. I would say by Monday we'll open that up, and we're going to have a mailing with schedules go out next week. My secretary's back in next week, so we'll have everything. It'll be a shorter mailing, a much more abbreviated mailing than we usually do, but schedules will be in that mailing, and then a few important letters from the school district will be in that mailing. So first day of school, I believe, is the 8th. That's the first half of the alphabet. Let me just double check my calendar. And then second half is the 9th. Okay, so day 1A is September 8th, and day 1B is September 9th. So second half of the alphabet, first day of school, is on the 9th, and first half of the alphabet, first day of school, is on the 8th. First day for day B, yes, we're expecting the day B kids to be online remotely with us on that first day of school. Yeah. Even if it's just to, meet and greet a little bit, and then the teachers may say, okay, remote kids, thanks for joining. We're going to do some sort of in-class orientation. That might happen. We'll work out, the logistics of all of that, but I would say yes, first day for everybody is the 8th, remote kids included, and then we'll see what that looks like. I doubt that we're going to be doing very much in curriculum for the first few days of school. I really want to reconnect and let the kids reconnect to being back in school, and we'll be prepared for that, and I don't. It's been so long, I don't know how they're feeling, and I don't know what it's going to be like for some of them, and if there's going to be some trauma, that we need to work through. Some kids surprise me all the time in their resiliency, but I'm generalizing. There are kids that I don't know. I'm certainly concerned that there are going to be kids that have had a really, really difficult time, and they're going to need our help, and we'll be ready for that. So I don't want to say we're going to jump into math because I don't know. I don't know what we're going to jump into until we're all back together. We're not going to force kids to do things academically that they're not ready to do. But if they don't want to talk about this and process this, we're not going to force them to do that either. So we all have to be flexible and to realize, that we'll have plans. We'll have plans to go. We'll have good first day plans for them, and we may not execute those plans depending on what we experience when we get started. Yeah. So no, the day 2 kids, right? So as I said, if we're going to orient, right, we're going to orient in person. We're going to have the in-person orientation for 6th graders that first day of school. So the second half kids will get the same kind of in-person orientation on day 2. I always meet with each grade level of kids every year to talk about the year ahead, and talk to the 8th graders about being leaders and being good role models, and talk about the 7th graders as it's their first year of secondary. Secondary school is 7 through 12, and talk obviously to the 6th graders about their middle school experience, and they're no longer elementary school students. And so I run through the code of conduct with the kids, and we do that every year. I'm still going to do that. It's the how am I going to do it? That I'm not sure. Am I going to have them come down, or am I going to stream it from the office right into the classrooms or something like that? That's the logistics of that. We'll have to figure out. But so in-person orientations are going to happen for the kids when they're in the school. So the kids that are remote are going to get that in-person orientation on day 2. And that's what I was kind of alluding to on that day 1A. Our kids remote, are we going to do a little bit of a meet and greet and then say to them, okay, thanks, tomorrow we'll see you in class, and then do a live orientation in school for the kids that are sitting there. And so the remote kids maybe would get dismissed, so to speak, from that second half of the block of time that we have. I have to talk to the teachers, and see what makes sense. And we haven't had that conversation yet, but I don't want folks stressing out about an orientation. Like, we will definitely make sure that kids are okay and that they feel comfortable and that they get the information that they need to get. All right. AIS is still going to happen. We're still going to have math labs. We're still going to have reading. How is it going to be delivered? It'll be delivered remotely, and it'll be delivered, at the same time that it would have been delivered in school. Yes, AIS and math lab and reading is delivered during a particular period on a particular day of the cycle, and so that will still continue. So if it's a fully remote situation, day 1A, day 1B, that their lessons are they're not the same lesson each day, right? So you're going to have a new lesson each day, and then if I'm a kid who's fully remote, it's going to, and I'm in a class where kids are also being instructed live. So I'm in this class on day 1A and I'm in this class on day 1B. I'm not in the class again until day 3A and day 3B, and then I'm not in the class again until day 5A and day 5B because it's an odd day class. I'm getting new instruction each day, right? It's not a repeat. Like, it's all new instruction. Every day is new instruction. I'm getting new instruction if I'm home remote every single day that I'm sitting in a class. So I hope that clarifies that. Resource room will absolutely still be available. Tablets are going to be available as soon as they're available. Like I want day one or sooner. That was something that I was trying to drill down into yesterday. We had our instructional, we had our subcommittee meeting for the instructional subcommittee yesterday, and I was trying to nail down a date for that. We don't have the logistics worked out yet about how to distribute, and if we're going to be doing a distribution of the tablets before the first day of school or not. I'll communicate all of this, as soon as we have that stuff ironed out. Like I said, we've got the 2 solid weeks from the 24th to the start of school to work out these details. So I'm confident that we'll be able to do that. I thought that the end of the year collection went extremely well. It went really, really well. So I don't know if we'll do a distribution similar to that. We might. I'm not sure, but we'll talk that through, and I'll let you know. I'll let you if that makes sense to get the tablets to you before the first day of school, then that's what we'll do. If not, then we'll have them ready to go the first day of school, and we'll hand them out to the kids, and they'll have them and they'll be ready to go, assuming the tech has done what they said that they're going to do. But they've been great. Our tech folks have been awesome. They've gotten them ready every single year, and in the 7th and the 8th grade, we've been able to get them out right away. In the 6th grade, we usually held back for a few days. But last year we got them out to the 6th graders really quickly, so I'm not worried about that. All right, so let me make sure that I ran through everything in our plan. We talked about absences. We talked about making sure you communicate with us that student is going to be absent. The attendance requirements are still there. Running through the protocols, making sure we're getting everything. Okay, I think we're good. So I'm going to stop recording now.